Somewhere in rural Russia, a man sitting at the top of a tree was visited by a huge brown bear that seemed to be looking for lunch. The video starts off with a blood-chilling view of a gigantic bear standing right below the man's feet, seemingly trying to find a way up the ladder.
А? Не, нормально, я стою на ветке. Ну, давай на лестницу встану, на которой ты стоишь тоже.
After being yelled at multiple times, the predator finally decides to climb down the ladder and hang around the bottom of the tree for a few minutes.
Мансур! Мансур! Поросенок. Погуляй пока, дай мне закрепить тебе.
However, just as things seem to have finally calmed down, the bear unfortunately changes its mind.
Зачем ты ее поднимаешь? Да не нужно ее ближе к стволу ставить. Мне неудобно. Мансур, хорош ломать.
Towards the end of the video, the predator can be seen trying to shake the ladder in an attempt to make his potential meal fall down. Sadly, the video ends there, and what happens next remains a mystery. This terrifying video begins with the men heading back to their canoe while engaging in a verbal game in an effort to amuse themselves. As they continue playing their game, the camera suddenly gets a glimpse of a terrifying stalker who after a while proceeds to do something frightening.
That's pretty good already, I guess. Not bad. Whoa, whoa, whoa, whoa, bear, bear. Whoa! Hey!
Dodging the bear in time, they get into a standoff where the animal refuses to retreat despite their shouting, raising their hands, and at one point even walking up to it.
Hey, yeah, you go, bear. You go. You go. Yeah, that's right.
Thankfully, the sticks they picked up kept the bear from approaching, allowing them to reach their canoe and leaving no one hurt in the encounter. At the beginning of this clip, a woman in her later years can be seen peacefully taking a nap, not expecting to see her worst nightmare when she wakes up. Shocked and confused, she jumps out of her seat and puts distance between her and the animal, but ultimately stands her ground. Thankfully, the bear got scared and ran away from the encounter, leaving no one harmed. In eastern British Columbia, an adventurous hiker almost had a heart attack after coming face to face with an unexpected guest on the trail. At the start of the video, the nature lover is seen running down a rather narrow trail while recording his experience on a GoPro attached to his chest.
Coming up on your left. Thanks.
For quite a while, all appears to be going smoothly, and then, out of nowhere, a giant grizzly bear pops out and does this. Frightened by the sight of the predator charging at him, the hiker immediately picks up the pace and starts sprinting away as fast as he can. The video comes to an end as the man, thankfully, seems to have managed to escape from that situation unharmed. This short yet terrifying video captures a man recording a black bear climbing down a tree after seeing him. Despite the predator reaching the bottom in a flash, he stands his ground, which makes the bear do this.
No. You better get.
The predator stops in its tracks after he fires a warning shot. Luckily, the clip ends as the animal is seen running off. A seemingly average expedition in Greenland, a group of researchers had their day turn into a living nightmare when they were dangerously approached by a hungry polar bear. Before anything, things seem to be going well as they prepare to leave their camp when they suddenly spot the predator lurking a few hundred feet away.
Oh, he's really checking us out now. If he does get close, we're exactly right for me to use the bear spray because it's downwind. Yeah, I honestly think he's going to walk past us.
After a few stressful minutes, the hungry polar bear unfortunately gets way too close for their liking, and they bravely decide to try and scare it away.
Do you want to put the flare off?
Yeah.
With everyone there now seriously worried for their safety, the animal continues to calmly roam around their camp for a few more minutes, but eventually loses interest and simply swims away from them altogether. While floating down a river towards their next camp, Fred Eichler and company came across 3 bear cubs and 1 angry mother bear. At the start of the video, Fred's team can be seen riding the river when they come across 3 bear cubs. While moving forward, they unfortunately come too close to the cubs, which angered someone else previously hidden in the thick bushes.
Come on. Let's go. Let's get out of here.
Thankfully, the large mother bear got scared of the shot and ran away from them. During a hunting trip in Saskatchewan, one man got the experience of a lifetime after he came face to face with a hungry black bear. The clip begins with the man recording a video of the animal climbing up a tree where he was initially settled. He sits still while he records the predator getting closer and closer as it eventually reaches the top, striking him with fear. With incredible calmness, the brave hunter manages to keep his composure despite being in an extremely dangerous situation. Fortunately, the bear eventually loses interest in the hunter and it climbs down, leaving him breathless. What this man thought to be a drunk roommate coming home and stumbling around turned out to be something much more terrifying. The clip starts off with the cautious man recording a huge and hungry predator walking around his living room.
We have a bear inside of our house right now. We have a bear inside of our house. Holy.
A few seconds after he started recording, the bear notices him recording from the stairs, leaving it with no choice but to run after him. As the bear makes its way upstairs, he runs to his room and looks back one last time, only to see this.
Oh God, wait.
Whoa! Oh my God!
After reaching his room, he talks with his scared roommate, who tells him that the predator went back downstairs. Unfortunately, the clip ends abruptly, and what happens next remains unknown. In a residential area in Canada, a man was nearly attacked by some unexpected guests. The video opens with a man hearing some weird sounds in his backyard and heading down to check it out with his camera in hand. On reaching his backyard, the homeowner sees not one, but a family of 3 bears roaming around.
Stay.
Immediately, the mama bear spots the man whom she considers a threat. She quickly motions for her cubs to climb the trees for safety, and then she does this.
Hey, guys.
Moments later, the three bears are seen leaving the premises. In Yamal, Siberia, a group of unsuspecting workers were having a fun time feeding a hungry polar bear when things suddenly went south. Initially, the camera starts rolling right as the men attempt to lure the animal closer by safely feeding it from a raised platform.
Пора чухать, ёпта, сейчас вам точно, блядь. Давай-ка на буровую еще не будем, бля, подавать. Ох, бля, Саня, аккуратней, блядь.
At some point, one of the men very bravely decides to walk down the stairs to feed the predator from closer when the unimaginable happens.
Отец, блядь, хуйней не занимайся. Конечно, блядь. Уйди! Ёбаный в рот, блядь. Ты чё, отец, ёпта?
Now, finally, worried for their safety, the men make sure to remain on the platform as the animal keeps roaming around for a few more minutes to eventually walk away completely. Along the Aleutian Island chain, a skinny dipping experience took a shocking turn when a frightening brown bear came along and ruined the fun. At the start of the video, an explorer explains that she had been bathing naked in a nearby river when a bear suddenly appeared and did this.
I was having a naked shower in this river and a bear came. Hey! Off! Ah, go away!
Frightened, the female adventurer and her friend attempt to shoo away the bear by shouting, but the unfazed predator simply ignores them and picks up the pace.
He carried on coming and had a little sniff of my clothes and shampoo.
In one final attempt, the now desperate woman begins to throw rocks at the approaching animal, and that does the trick.
Ran when I started throwing pebbles at him. Rocks, not pebbles, rocks. This is really stupid to be camped next to a river.
Luckily for the women, the bear turns around and runs into the bushes. At the beginning of this frightening encounter, an enormous black bear can be seen following the scent of a man resting in a tree stand. After seeing the ladder leading to his scent, the man realizes the grave danger he is in when the predator decides to do this. As soon as the animal climbs a few steps, the hunter makes his presence known, which stops the bear from climbing further.
Hey, what are you doing there? What are you doing there?
It then goes down and runs away, leaving the hunter safe and unharmed. What these tourists thought was supposed to be a heartwarming encounter with a mother bear and her two cubs quickly turned into a terrifying experience. At the start, the encounter begins with a few tourists taking pictures and admiring the animals that are only a few feet from them. With only a park ranger keeping this encounter from being a horrifying disaster, the mood quickly changes after the mother bear does this. After spraying the animals, another park ranger proceeds to throw rocks at the bears to drive them away from the road. Luckily, all the bears retreat back into the forest, and the tourists proceed to move on with their adventure safely. A man got the scare of a lifetime after he saw something horrifying while hunting in the vast Alaskan forest. The video picks up with the hunter walking and looking at the sky, attempting to find his next bird catch. While going deeper and deeper into the forest, he eventually looks down, only to see an unexpected visitor staring right at him.
Hey, bear. Hey, bear. Get out of here, bear. Get out of here, bear.
Out of nowhere, the bear suddenly turns and starts running around the nearby trees, but the hunter refuses to let his guard down as he's not completely out of danger yet. Towards the end, the hunter manages to arrive at the camp where his friend is staying, effectively losing the stalking animal. While camping in the snowy mountains, a man and his loyal companion became the target of a double grizzly bear attack. At the beginning of this video, we can hear the man screaming at the top of his lungs to prevent his poor dog from approaching the bears up ahead.
Raina, get over here! Get over here, Raina! Raina! Raina, come here! Raina! Come here!
He calls his dog several times, but to no avail. He then proceeds to walk closer to his dog, despite the predators being only a few meters away.
Raina, can you please come here? Raina, come here. Get over here. Raina!
His dog doesn't stop going closer to them, so the man, left with no other choice, runs to his dog in order to tie it to a leash.
Well, smart bears. Raina, get over here. All that noise, jeez.
Luckily, no one was harmed during the encounter, and they both return to their tent, as the bears are nowhere to be seen. What he thought was going to be a good morning started grim after this unlucky camper woke up to the sight of a large black bear searching for breakfast. The intense video starts as the man immediately picks up his camera after noticing the curious animal sniffing the outside of his tent.
No.
Despite the large predator being so close to him, the man keeps his calm and even gets the courage to do something that is sure to give you an adrenaline rush. As the brave man stands in a face-off with the bear, it walks up on him, eventually getting only a few inches away from him. Thankfully, the bear eventually leaves him alone after a frightening 10 minutes, prompting him to quickly evacuate the area. A cold, windy day in Russia, two men had their camping trip cut short when a curious polar bear unfortunately decided to pay them a visit. Originally, they quickly pick up their camera after spotting the sneaky predator slowly approaching their campsite from up ahead.
Och så mitt i frokosten då, här. Nej, vänta lite. Den är ju svär.
With the predator refusing to leave them alone, one of the men suddenly comes up with a solution to hopefully scare it off. Luckily, the animal gets the message and ends up running off back into the wild. In the beginning of this clip, a bear can be seen entering a house through a window that was left open while no one was home. Throughout the video, the bear can be seen exploring the house and roaming around, seemingly looking for something to eat. At one point, the animal is even seen awkwardly trying to scratch itself on the side of a kitchen counter. Luckily for the family, the bear made its way back out before they got home. In Saskatchewan, a pair of friends had a horrifying day when they encountered a black bear that didn't seem to be intimidated by their presence at all. The video starts out with two men in the wild observing their surroundings from the safety of a tree while one of them records the experience. While looking around, the explorers spot a black bear nuzzling up to a blue tank, and they begin to focus on it silently. Suddenly noticing that it is being watched, the bear snaps its neck in the direction of the men and proceeds to do the unthinkable. Now in such proximity to the bear, the men decide to stay still and quiet so as not to attract its attention. Luckily for the men, the bear does not look in their direction, and after a few minutes it returns to the ground, leaving them to their own devices. A group of friends got the experience of a lifetime after they encountered a large, hungry predator in search of food on a rural Russian road. This intense clip starts off with a group of friends recording a bear trying to go inside a parked but occupied truck. Despite the dire situation, they make so much noise to get the attention of the predator that they unfortunately attract it towards them. After the animal goes back into the bushes, they follow with the goal of petting it and giving it more food. At first, everything seems to be going well, as the bear does not seem to mind the driver, yet moments later something unexpected happens. Surprisingly, the driver's fingers remain intact, despite the situation they put themselves into. What was supposed to be a quick hike through the Claremont Wilderness Park quickly became fuel for nightmares after Chad Bruce, a hiker, encountered a large grizzly bear. The video begins by showing us short clips from his trip at a wilderness park, but a few clips later, something extremely horrifying can be seen following him.
Baby fox. Hello! Got a major bear. Holy crap.
An enormous grizzly bear seems to be following him, and despite only being a few feet away from the animal, the hiker manages to remain calm throughout the ordeal.
Pretty fella. Really don't want to mess with him though. Kind of want to pet him like a little puppy.
After securing the distance to be able to go behind the bear, he continues to follow it, enabling him to warn another unaware hiker.
Better get off the trail, homie. Hey, there's a big bear right here. Just so you know, there's a big bear.
Thankfully, the bear was docile, and no one was harmed in the encounter. While on a grizzly bear hunting expedition in British Columbia, Steve Ranella and Ryan Callahan were forced to protect themselves by doing the unthinkable. At the start of the video, the two men are attempting to reach the top of a small, isolated mountain range in order to get better visibility. On reaching the top, the explorers catch sight of a grizzly bear and her 3 cubs devouring some nearby blueberry bushes.
What's going on? And all of a sudden, like, out of our side view comes like, not just one bear, but 4 of them. It's a sow packing 3 little spring.
At first, the men manage to go unnoticed while watching from a distance. Sadly, that does not last long, because the mother spots them and starts approaching.
You're barking at us?
Yeah. Hey, Mom. Take your kids and go. See her? Hey, Mom. She just came through this gap. She's coming this way.
Realizing that they are in impending danger, the men start trying to scare off the vicious bear by shouting, but their attempt proves futile. Left with no other choice, the now desperate men pull out their guns and do this.
Hey, Mom! Hey!
Callahan is shooting out in front of her, and she doesn't care at all. I'm gonna kill this sow. And she spawned.
Eventually, the mother bear and her cubs retreat into the bushes. This terrifying video from Turkey begins with a man staring at something unusual. As some moments passed, that unusual thing turned out to be the worst beast he could encounter there. The man immediately fled the scene, but his dog clashed with the hungry bear in the snow. Both the animals exchanged blows, but the bear sadly outpowered the dog. In the end, the bear was left alone in the frame, as the man had already fled the scene, and the dog also took to his heels. Nonetheless, the encounter was indeed petrifying, and I am happy everyone made it out alive. A supposedly long and drawn-out hunt almost ended in the most gruesome way imaginable after the hunter became the hunted. This terror-striking encounter begins with the man recording a bear trying to sniff him out from the ground under his little tree stand. Moments later, the bear spots him and doesn't waste any time and proceeds to climb up towards the hunter with a menacing look. Fortunately, the bear goes back down, giving the man the chance to grab his shotgun and pepper spray. Expecting the worst, he prepares and aims down his weapons as the bear decides to pull off one terrifying move.
Hey, bear. Hey, bear. Down, bear. Get down.
Thankfully, the hungry bear gets the message and leaves him alone, ending the close call. While hiking Mount Roberts in Juneau, Alaska, 2 men came face to face with an extremely curious black bear. This nerve-wracking clip opens with one of the hikers trying to scare off the animal while recording the ordeal on his camera.
You got the camera? Yep, it's rolling. Ah, well, that's cool. Hey. No.
Instead of running off like the men expect it to, the predator continues to approach them at a steady pace, forcing them to slowly retreat.
Go on. Hey, fella. Go on.
This encounter stretches on for quite some time, but eventually the animal seems to lose interest in the men and decides to venture into the nearby bushes in search of food. Taking advantage of the bear's distracted state, the hikers pull out their bear spray and wait for the animal's next move.
And then, all right, well, let's keep going here. Let's give him a little bit of space.
Since the animal fails to make a move, the hikers decide to continue their trip. In northern Manitoba, YouTuber Frank Wolf and his wife had a sudden visit from a few polar bears that took an extremely unfortunate turn. At first, they begin recording the beast, along with two others behind it, begin walking right towards their cabin from the river up ahead.
Right there, look at that, right in front of us here. Right here. Oh, what are you doing, buddy? Are you curious? You want some man meat? You want to come up to the door here?
Unfortunately for them, the curious animal decides to start fiddling around their camp and suddenly begins chewing on their canoe.
Hey. Not the canoe, buddy. Yeah, you don't chew in the canoe. Yeah, he's trying to chew in the canoe, this guy here. Hey. Hey, don't chew on the canoe. Yeah. I'm gonna bring my shotgun out on you, buddy.
After many frustrating minutes, the man decides to take matters into his own hands and runs to grab his shotgun in hopes of scaring the predators away.
There he is. Get rid of him right now. There they go.
Effective.
The bears thankfully end up sparing the man to move along from the area completely, leaving them both standing there in disbelief. A hunter in America got the experience of a lifetime after an extremely curious bear decided to come check him out from up close. Watch to see what the hunter did. This unbelievable video starts with the two hunters scouting the area in search of their next target. After a few minutes, one of the men sees a large, black, shadowy figure in the distance and decides to walk up ahead to grab a closer look. What is finally confirmed to be a black bear now starts dangerously approaching the armed man and eventually comes face to face with him and his gun. Will the hunter shoot? Keep watching to find out. After the intense stare down, the animal appears to lose interest in the hunter and decides to let him go, leaving both men in complete disbelief. In Yellowstone National Park, a group of tourists saw their lives flash before their eyes after some bears went rogue. In the beginning of the video, a group of tourists are moving alongside a family of bears on what appears to be a bridge. At first, the tourists simply pick up the pace. However, when they realize that things are getting out of hand, they begin to run to the safety of their cars. At one point, the bears seem to be retreating, but they soon turn right back around, causing the film crew to retreat. Thankfully, all the humans and bears make it through the encounter unharmed. This nail-biting encounter begins with a family entering their house amid a calm background. After a few moments, two bears come into the camera frame, who walked before the house and out of the camera's range to the other side of the alley. The blood-curdling moments began when a woman, completely unaware of the presence of wild bears, came out of the house and went her way, but there was a disaster waiting to happen. The lady tried balancing herself on the slippery steps while locking the gates when the two bears were seen chasing her. It was her lucky day. She didn't get caught by those wild animals and went safely inside. A man came face to face with death after he encountered a large mother black bear with cubs hiding in the trees during his hike in the Appalachian Trail Conservancy. The intense encounter starts with a man recording his hike when suddenly he stops in his tracks after seeing something between the trees.
That wasn't a Florida bear. Oh, there he is right over here. All right, buddy. All right. There you are. I'm going.
After seeing the enormous black bear staring at him, he stops and slowly backs up a few inches from the animal in order to compose himself.
Just see what this bear wants to do, because we're getting close to the point where I'm gonna have to use force.
Despite the presence of the bear, he resorts to walking forward once again as slowly as possible, hoping not to anger or startle the mother bear as he passes by.
I'm going this way. You just stay where you're at. There you go. There you go, buddy. You stay where you're at.
Luckily for him, the predator lets him pass through and go on safely. The clip you are about to see is both blood-chilling and disturbing. It shows a bear encounter where staying calm doesn't work. The video starts with hunter Blake Barnett's team attempting to scare off a dangerously close black bear. From the very start, though, it seems obvious that the animal has no intention of leaving. Unfortunately, all the movement only makes the bear even angrier as it proceeds to attempt the unthinkable.
Hey, bear.
At the very last second, one of the brave hunters managed to land a warning shot to the left of the bear, immediately scaring it back into the woods. A rural road in Finland, this shocking encounter between a dog and an aggressive black bear led to unfortunate circumstances. After spotting the beast on the side of the road, the residents parked their cars in order to observe the vicious animal from closer. Things quickly go south when someone's curious dog decides to get involved.
Hey, hey!
After chasing it back into the woods, what happens to the dog next sadly remains unanswered. In West Colorado, an unarmed hiker had an intense standoff with a very protective mother bear that escalated rather quickly. After spotting the two cubs in a tree, he immediately begins recording in order to explain what's going on.
There's two more cubs 20 yards away. And the sow just charged up here, but she couldn't see me.
Fearing for his safety, he starts throwing rocks at the mother bear, but unfortunately doesn't get the reaction he expected.
Hey! Hey! Hey! Back up! Back up! I'm gonna spray you, Mama. I'm gonna spray you.
Now in panic mode, he begins carefully walking back up the mountain in hopes to avoid another confrontation. He thankfully gets back on the trail and tries to process what just happened. If you ever plan on hunting, this next terrifying black bear encounter will most likely make you rethink your decision. On an average hunting day, a man is surprised to see a random black figure slowly approaching him from a few hundred feet away. As the animal comes closer, the man quickly realizes that it's a black bear and immediately yells after it to stay away.
Get out of here. Get out of here.
Judging by what happens next, this obviously doesn't work out too well.
Get out of here. Get. Get out of here.
After its failed charge, the beast thankfully gives up on its hope for dinner and walks away. In Whistler, British Columbia, 3 young women had an interesting reaction to coming face to face with a black bear. Initially, the animal can be seen from across the street, attempting to open a garage door, but is thankfully unsuccessful. The bear explores the area a little more when 3 women unfortunately begin obliviously walking down the nearby alley. What they do next will most likely shock you.
Oh no! No!
Oh.
Look how close they're going!
Surprisingly not interested in this free meal, the beast runs to hide behind a gate, and the women simply walk on like nothing happened at all. This terrifying video starts off with 2 hunters in a tree stand who had just spotted a black bear below them and quickly started recording. Moments later, the predator becomes overly curious and tries to climb up their tree, prompting them to prepare for the worst. Cautious and afraid of the black bear getting close to them, the man recording decides that he has no other choice but to pull out his bear spray and do this. After getting sprayed in the face, the animal can finally be seen running away from those hunters' tree, going as far as possible. At Miette Hot Springs, a hungry black bear was seen rummaging through an outdoor trash can when a local tourist tried his luck at passing by it. Watch and find out what happened to him. At the beginning of the video, the bear seems to be minding its own business and peacefully enjoying the leftovers found in the trash can. Eventually, though, a tourist tries to calmly walk past the animal, but things don't play out as he'd hoped. After having the scare of his life, the man quickly backs off and is even told by other tourists to leave completely, but decides to ignore them.
Back away. Back away slowly. Get away from there. Back away slowly. Keep going. You're too close.
Thankfully, nobody is hurt during the encounter, and the bear got to enjoy the rest of its meal. This man in Alaska has an unimaginable encounter with a huge bear. Just keep watching to see what happens next. At the very start of the video, the fisherman points out a grizzly bear lurking just a few yards behind him.
Well, I don't know if you can see this, but right there is a grizzly bear. Freaking grizzly bear. Eating some salmon.
As the predator keeps getting closer and closer, the brave fisherman tries to scare it away by splashing his fishing rod in the water and letting out a few screams.
Hey! Hey! Hey, bear! Hey! Hey! Hey, bear! Hey! Hey!
However, the man's behavior has no effect on the animal as it proceeds to steal his bag containing many valuable items.
Hey! Bear!
right, that bear should stole my bag. Hey, bear! Hey!
After a few rather nerve-wracking minutes, the grizzly bear luckily gives up chewing on the man's bag and starts walking towards the further end of the river. In the Alaskan wilderness, these two hikers were faced with a very dangerous situation when a young and curious bear started following them around. Watch to see how things play out. At first, the men start recording immediately, as the predator can be seen lurking just a few feet away from them while they do their best to calm it down.
Go on, bear. Go on, bear.
For many minutes, the beast follows the hikers around as they try to avoid becoming its next meal. However, the animal continues to intimidate them by showing off its size.
Just keep walking. Go on, bear.
Eventually, the hikers and the bear manage to end up just a few feet apart, and the men brace themselves for the worst-case scenario. Although risky, the hikers decide to turn their backs to the animal and walk away as fast as they can as the video comes to an end. This petrifying clip starts off with a man recording his snowmobile riding session in a snowy forest in the mountains. However, his supposedly relaxing snowmobile session quickly fell apart after he met an unexpected visitor waiting for him on top of the mountain. Upon seeing the huge bear staring right at him, the rider hastily swerves in another direction and starts speeding away just in case. Thankfully, he managed to dodge the danger in time and continued his ride like normal. On an early morning in Tennessee, these locals had a sudden visit from a curious black bear that unfortunately didn't quite turn out as expected. Before anything, the man recording bravely walks out onto his front porch in order to hopefully scare the intrusive animal away.
Camera. Back up. Go. Rah! Rah! Yo! Rah!
What he's doing, luckily, seems to work, as the bear starts slowly backing off towards his driveway when this happens.
Yeah! Ah! Ha! Ha! Ha! Ha! Hey, get back in.
Obviously not wanting a physical confrontation with the animal, he quickly runs back to his house to grab a pan and begins making loud banging sounds.
Get out of here.
Finally, the predator seems to get the message and ends up running off into the woods. In a forest in Turkey, a group of brave men unexpectedly came across a trapped but aggressive brown bear and decided that they would attempt the unthinkable. After spotting the animal at the bottom of the hill, they quickly realize that it appears to have one of its paws unfortunately tied to a tree. Already with a plan in mind, they prepare a tranquilizer dart and begin to carefully walk down the hill in order to get a closer look. Now, just a few feet away from the animal, they finally decide to put their tranquilizer dart to use in order to execute their plan.
İyi. Aşağı
After a few minutes of waiting, the bear finally falls into a deep state of sleep, and the men thankfully manage to get a clear look of the issue.
şuraya kepçeyle kadar.
İnşallah kırmamışsın. Tıktığı için. Çıktım hadi. Bak. Ben şimdi kapat şeyi. Ben biraz yine yapacağım.
With the bear now free from the trap, they attempt to heal its injuries as best they can and proceed to leave it alone to rest. In Whistler, British Columbia, Cody Clark and his friends were on an exciting mountain bike ride when they experienced something that would make anyone faint in fear. While pedaling down a muddy trail, Cody's friends immediately alert him of the danger after seeing two bear cubs hiding up in the trees around them.
Bear. In the trees. Ah! Right there. Shit, where's Mom Bear?
Holy
Go.
dude, where's the mom?
Right away, Cody panics and begins looking around for the mom. He unfortunately ends up spotting her just to the right of the trail. Fearing for his life, he quickly gets back to pedaling down the trail as fast as he possibly can.
Bears! Mom's coming! Connor! Look where Mom is!
While alerting the others to the danger, he keeps looking behind him to make sure he isn't being followed. Finally, he manages to get back with his group, and they simply continue on their ride like nothing happened. In Alberta, Canada, two men had their bow hunting trip completely ruined when a few black bears decided that they were due for a meal. The video picks up as one of the predators can be seen suspiciously staring at the men from a tree branch directly below them.
Get out of here.
After a few extremely tense minutes, a second bear unfortunately decides to join the scene, and this is where things take a truly horrifying turn. Luckily for them, the predators thankfully decide to surrender their meal and run away from the area completely. Recorded in Russia, this animal encounter shows a tourist trying to get closer to a young brown bear they had just encountered. Thinking that it wasn't that dangerous, the tourist stupidly turns his back, which gives the bear the opportunity to do this. Thankfully, the predator does not reach him in time, and they drive away quickly. On a nice day in New Jersey, this brave woman noticed a curious black bear lurking near her house, and unfortunately got a little too close to it. She starts off the video by unsuspectingly showing the bear eating some acorns on the ground just a few feet away from her.
This is a black bear in front of my house eating acorns. Great acorn crop this year.
Eventually, though, the animal starts feeling uncomfortable about having her around and decides to do this.
How timid these animals really are. See, that was a bluff charge. Bears get killed over this, and they always stop.
Wanting to capture some good content for her video, she begins trying to provoke the predator into bluff charging her once again.
Are you going to bluff charge me again and show people what a bluff charge is? That is saying, stay away from me. There he goes. That is a bluff charge. No, you go.
After further explaining the reason behind the bear's bluff charges, the woman eventually feels like she's seen enough and attempts to chase the animal away.
Go, go, go, go, go, go.
Finally, she decides to leave the predator alone and walk back to her house. In Katmai National Park, 3 friends had a truly horrifying encounter with a huge grizzly bear that took a seriously unexpected turn. After spotting the beast from down the trail, the 3 friends quickly regroup in order to hopefully grab some nice photos of it. They immediately regret their decision after realizing that the menacing bear is now walking right in their direction.
Let's get back.
Out of fear for their safety, they begin to carefully walk backwards away from the beast.
Let's back up.
Hi there.
Hey, guy.
Once satisfied with their distance from the animal, they simply stand there in hopes that it will move on and walk back into the woods. That's until the woman spots something else behind them.
Oh, one behind us too.
Okay.
We're okay. Okay.
Oh my goodness.
Now surrounded by 2 man-eaters, they immediately regroup once again and wait for the beasts to hopefully leave the area. After a few minutes, the bear up ahead finally walks back into the forest, which allows them to safely continue on their path. In a small village in British Columbia, 2 women had an unexpected encounter with a black bear that took a truly horrific turn. As they're walking down the sidewalk, they spot the predator crossing the road up ahead. Curious to see what it's up to, they attempt to follow it around the village. Little did they know, they were about to experience something very traumatizing. While running for her life, the woman recording unfortunately falls down and hurts her leg. And unfortunately, the recording cuts here, and her fate still remains unknown. Captured in Alaska, this short clip begins with a tourist recording a huge grizzly bear approaching them during one of their expeditions. Moments later, the bear gets close enough for the group to see its large body and sharp claws, which scares them even more.
Hey, bear. Here, come with me.
Oh.
You get behind me. Hey, bear. Hey.
Despite the already terrifying situation that the group is in, it suddenly becomes more frightening after the predator does this.
Get on out of here. Fine.
Oh.
Thankfully, the bear does not come closer to the group and leaves after a while. In Vancouver, British Columbia, 3 friends had their fun mountain bike ride quickly turn into a nightmare when they were chased by a relentless black bear. After spotting the animal approaching them from a distance, they quickly decide to pedal away out of fear for their safety.
Is he coming this way?
Yeah, he's walking right there. He's running. Yep.
They look behind them a few times and are shocked to see that they are now being pursued by the bear.
You got a bear chasing us? I think scared to look back.
Yeah, he is. Go.
Seriously fearing for their lives, they continue to pedal away as fast as they can in hopes to eventually lose the predator. After a few tense minutes, they decide to take a quick break in order to see if the bear is still around.
So we all just gonna have to put our bikes up in front of us?
Yeah.
That's here. Oh. Okay, go.
No.
Why don't we all stand and put up
We gotta stay together.
This time, though, they attempt to scare the bear away by screaming and throwing rocks in its direction.
Hey!
Hey! I don't want one.
I see him still.
Hey! Down here, bear! No, not still there.
It luckily seems to work, as the animal briefly disappears back into the forest. The men grab this opportunity and slowly begin walking away while keeping an eye out for the predator. Just a few minutes later, though, they unfortunately spot the bear behind them once again.
Oh, I don't see a big black mass.
No. Hey, yes, he's coming.
Oh, we're gonna pedal?
Alright, we got to pedal or no? If you just say stop, stop.
Eventually, feeling like it's the safer solution, they get off their bikes and continue on the trail by foot, all while staying as close together as possible. Even after looking back many times, they never see the beast again and finally decide to call it a day. In Katmai National Park, an enjoyable expedition unexpectedly turned into a nightmare when a huge mother bear, accompanied by her 2 cubs, decided to pay these unarmed tourists a visit. At first, they begin filming after spotting the bear family, unfortunately heading towards them from the shoreline to their right.
Guys, let's move down this way just real slowly, as far as you can. We just want to give her some room to go by.
All the tourists continue to remain frozen in fear as the completely fearless bears now begin dangerously walking right past them.
There's mama and 2 cubs very close to
Luckily, they didn't feel threatened by the humans and simply decided to walk on, leaving everyone there completely speechless. While exploring a forest in northern Alberta, 2 hunters encountered something extremely terrifying, and what they were about to experience would make an ordinary person panic. The video begins as the hunters get to observe an intense bear fight happening in real time right below their tree stand. However, after things finally seem to be calming down, one of the bears appears to be smelling the men's can of tuna and proceeds to do this. Unbelievably, the men remain calm and silent, even as the predator keeps slowly climbing up the ladder and getting closer to them by the second. The intense encounter finally comes to an end as the bear decides to climb down the ladder and join its friend. At Fish Creek in Alaska, YouTuber Kelly Neitlinger was on a peaceful hike when some local fishermen felt a little too comfortable around a fearless black bear. After spotting the animal from down the trail, 2 of the men, very bravely, decide to walk towards it in hopes of scaring it off.
No, Juno.
The bear temporarily hides in some bushes before walking right back out to engage in an intense stare-down with the men. No violence is needed until the beast begins walking in their direction.
No bear. Juno, no bear.
Thankfully not too angry about getting rocks thrown at it, the animal spares them and runs back into the forest. In British Columbia, 2 friends brought their lovely dog on an exciting mountain bike ride when the unimaginable happened. Not expecting much to go wrong, both men seem to be having a great time on the trail while their dog happily follows them around and stays right by their side. Unfortunately, things quickly turn for the worse.
Whoa! Oh, big bear! Oh. Carver! Hey! Oh, it's a big mama, eh?
Likely terrified by the dog, the black bear refuses to get down from the tree, and the men decide to go on with their ride while they still can. National parks are popular destinations for tourists, but they are also home to some of the most dangerous predators. In the beginning of the clip, a large grizzly bear can be seen walking in circles in the road as multiple park rangers attempt to drive it away. The grizzly eventually makes its way back into the bushes, yet it does not walk away completely and instead stays near the road. Remaining a threat, the park rangers fire warning shots at the animal, hoping that the sound will scare it further into the trees. Failing to scare the predator by using loud sounds, the park rangers ultimately decide to take drastic measures, leading to this happening. The bear gets hit by hazing shots, which leads it to run further into the trees, making the rangers' method successful. Thankfully, they are able to drive the bear away, leaving no one harmed. What would you do if you and your friends encountered two adolescent grizzly bears in the middle of nowhere? This question was unfortunately presented to a group of hikers in Alaska when they encountered these two fearless brown bears.
Hey, chill. We chill. Yep. Yeah. Back off. Yeah, I know we're close, but we're not that close, man. We're not gonna be friends.
Although frightened by the predators, the friends surprisingly appear to stay calm, even cracking jokes during the encounter.
Yeah, we know you run this place. Yeah. Yeah, this is some real Alaska stuff right here. Yeah, I know. It's really cool, but also like kind of really not cool. Yeah.
Just in case, though, the men still try to back away calmly, while the bears keep acting as though they're smelling something tasty nearby.
They're just curious.
Yeah, 100%. I'm alright with it so far.
Yeah. You guys are good? Alright. You guys start talking once they leave.
Luckily, both animals eventually lose interest in the men and simply turn around and keep walking down the trail. While camping in Alaska, two men from the Boreal Stories YouTube channel had a sudden visit from a huge grizzly bear that didn't quite turn out as planned. As the beast walks out from the forest up ahead, both men stand there in utter shock and disbelief of what they're seeing.
He's still like there.
Unfortunately for them, though, the curious animal decides to fiddle around their camp and begins chewing on one of the men's expensive shoes.
Don't videotape. No, you piece of shit. He's like playing with it. What a.
After many frustrating minutes, the bear thankfully moves along, and the men finally get their chance to go check up on the damages.
The shoe, on the other hand, has seen better days. Big chunk out of the heel. He likes the rubber, I guess.
They simply pick up the leftover pieces and go on with their day like nothing happened. In Grand Teton, Wyoming, a peaceful hike quickly turned into a nightmare when a scary mother bear crossed a heavily tourist-occupied area with her two little cubs. YouTuber Thomas Boudin and his friends were having a great time on their hike and weren't expecting much to happen at all. All of that quickly changed after they met some tourists who claimed to have seen bears roaming around the area.
What did you see?
It's a black bear, but it was brown.
Okay.
Brown bear and 2 cubs.
Thankfully, the nearby park rangers got alerted of the danger and immediately acted upon it to prevent anything terrible from happening. In hopes of capturing some interesting footage, Thomas even attempts to follow one of the park rangers into the forest.
Is it safe to follow you or not?
No! Good Lord, no!
Eventually, the mother bear and her 2 little cubs walk out of the woods while the terrified tourists quickly spread out. Luckily, they didn't feel threatened by the humans and simply decided to walk on and swim across the river. In Alberta, Canada, 2 completely unarmed men were sure they were about to be eaten alive when they were horrifyingly chased down by a very curious black bear. This chilling clip starts off as the animal comes running out of the tree line up ahead, seemingly curious to grab a closer look of the 2 men. Most likely expecting it to simply stand there and look at them, they both calmly start walking backwards in an attempt to leave the area.
Hey, back. Stay. That's it. That's as far as you're going. Stop. Stop. Right now, stop.
Despite it being outnumbered, the beast immediately begins following the men as they continue to make their way back to the trail. Being completely unarmed, they both try to keep an eye out for large rocks on the ground that they could use as weapons if things were to go south.
It'll be your part from now on, okay?
Okay, great.
Yeah?
Look around for a rock. Wait a second. If he hits, I gotta hit him in the head. Back! Back!
All while continuing to follow the men around, the beast jumps onto a few trees and seems to get distracted by its environment, which gives them some hope that it might move on and leave them alone eventually.
Jesus. Atta boy. Show us how you do it. Good boy. Good boy. Oh, that's cool, buddy boy. You just keep doing that. That's it, boy. Stay away from me, though.
Finally, as the animal keeps on playing around with surrounding trees, the men decide to make a run for it as their car is now only about a few hundred feet away. After what must have been the most terrifying run of their lives, both men thankfully make it back to their car in time and sit there in utter shock of what just occurred.